the answer the answer to that question, what do you want your legacy statement to be, for me, certainly wasn't what I had been doing. I wanted to give something back to the world with the gift that I was given of being able to speak. And so I started immediately, got out of the fundraising business and got into the social impact business. I wanted to find ways to use my gift to try to help companies that were doing good, companies that were focused on bringing good to the world. And I got started right away with a certification entity where we were trying to help startups that had a good focus to find investors. And ultimately that led over the last 5 years to me starting Social Impact Investment. I also currently, I do volunteer fundraising, and I also do volunteer consulting for a group called the Global Good Fund, a group called Rare Crossroads, another fund called the Global Impact Fund, a company called Rare Base that's in the biosciences. And then I'm also volunteer consulting, doing some fundraising for Youth Up Global. So this is kind of what I do. I have a network of folks that I know, have no like and trust relationships with, and I try to leverage that to do some good in the world. First thing I'd like to talk to you about is, or talk to everyone that's listening, is about ESG. But before that, I'm sorry, I jumped right in and I shouldn't have. I really should have given thanks to Professor Debussy. I think, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but the professor was brilliant, and I can't believe I have to follow that guy. I mean, he hit everything on the head. The turn of the century and the rise of societies and the rise of Africa is an inevitability. The rise of Nigeria is an inevitability. It absolutely must happen. So long as the rest of the world continues to operate, Nigeria is going to rise. There's just no other way for it to go. I was not aware prior to this meeting, and I'm embarrassed to say that property rights was not a thing in Nigeria. This is an incredibly important piece to any kind of finance puzzle, is the right to own property and the trust that you have that when you buy property, that you can enforce those rights. If you go back to castle law here in the United States, your empire can only be as large as you can protect. And so if you can't even protect a piece of property that you claim to own, that your basis for everything kind of goes out. So a bottom line is, I wanted to thank the professor, because he was amazing, and I learned a tremendous amount from his speech. So I'm wherever he is, I hope he can hear me, but I'm very grateful for what he said. Okay, so getting into ESG. ESG stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance. And it's basically an amalgamation of all the different acronyms for socially responsible or corporate responsibility or sustainability, or all the other buzzwords that you're hearing in the marketplace right now in regards to companies and people trying to do good with capitalism. So ESG is a grand experiment. It's not something that's perfected. It's not even something that we can define yet. It's basically an amalgamation of all these different huge, great ideas around capitalism driving social and environmental good. Environmental piece would be the conservation of the natural world, climate change and carbon issues, air and water pollution. The social piece would have to do with consideration of people and relationships, customer satisfaction, data protection and privacy. And then the governance piece has to do with the standards for running a company, board composition. In other words, who's on the board for these companies, and is that board of a diverse business background. So this is all just the ESG piece is just a big experiment, because there's a lack of materiality. And what that means is they haven't defined a lot of these terms scientifically. So we say carbon footprint, there's no definition for that. I mean, I have a podcast called The Social Impact Revolution. And I had this woman on who was basically the head of reporting for PricewaterhouseCoopers. They're one of the biggest accounting firms in the world. And she was the head of reporting. And so it's her job to say, if you're going to report your carbon footprint, we need to say what that is. And even she's saying, we don't know what that is. I had a woman on who was the head of Norfolk Southern. It's one of the biggest railroad companies in the United States. And she said that during her tenure, they would have loved to have been able to measure the carbon output of all their locomotives, but there's no such device available. There's no such thing available to measure the output of carbon from a locomotive. And so, they make estimates based on the amount of fuel burn, but it's still just estimates. And therefore, there's no solidity to it. There's no solid answer to the carbon question as at this point, because we haven't defined what it is. So that's what materiality means. And so when you hear these really fancy people throwing that word around about ESG, what they're saying is, well, ESG is great in principle, but there's no real outcomes that have been recorded yet. I shouldn't say none, but the point is that the majority, the big issues that we're talking about, they haven't really recorded the actual definitions for them yet. So until outcomes are recorded and we have a baseline principle set for what these terms mean, there's no real way to project outcomes. So once we have outcomes and we can say, okay, we stopped using this much fuel, therefore this much carbon was reduced in the atmosphere, and we've got a measured result for that, then we can say, okay, well, if you reduce this much fuel, you should get credit for reducing this much carbon in the atmosphere. So thus far, that hasn't happened. They're in the process of doing it now, but the materiality of it is it's not available yet. So it's all just a big concept and an idea, but not something that's solid science yet. So right now, what we call that in the finance world is it's intentional based investing. So we have the intention of doing good for the environment. We have the intention for doing good for society. We have the intention for governing our companies with a diverse board that comes from multiple backgrounds of business. But, there's no measured result for the efforts that you're putting forward on that. So right now, I'm going to say capitalism is defined as an economic and political system in which a country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit rather than by the state. So unchecked capitalism, the reason I'm talking about this is because it has to do with ESG and why ESG is so important right now to continue to push the idea. So capitalism unchecked is going to result in corporate monopolies, which over time result in feudalism. Feudalism is when, if you go back in history, feudalism meant that, only the wealthy class, they owned all the land, and everyone else paid them either for the use of the land or for their protection or both. And so that's where we're headed at this point if we continue to allow these huge corporate monopolies and giant piles of capital to be directing things. So ESG is attempting to bring a sense of morality or decency to unbridled capitalism. So we want profits and we want capitalism because it allows for the freedom of choice. It allows for people to be free to come up with ideas and put them into the marketplace. But what we don't want is we don't want to end up with, 2 or 3 people that run the entire world. That has never worked out traditionally in the past, and it's not going to work out this time. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring down some controls on the marketplace so that more opportunity comes to folks that don't have any. Nigeria is a prime example there where, the idea that the professor put forward, I'm not going to butcher his last name. I have too much respect for the guy, but the professor put the idea forward for property rights, which is the next absolute nail that needs to be put in so that you can build a capitalistic economy where outside investment would come there and be confident that if they made an investment, as he was saying, no one's going to run off in the middle of the night and change the names on the corporate balance sheet and just X you off as an investor because they feel like it. So, property rights would be the next logical step with that and would be a huge jump in the evolutional chain for capitalism in Nigeria. Okay, so let's start off with the concepts and just talk a little bit about the concepts of ESG. So on the environmental piece, what you're thinking about when you think about doing something that's going to try to help, you've got to figure out from your profit. So you're starting off with a company that is profitable and you're saying, okay, when you made this profit, was there any injury to the environment? Was there anything taken from the land to make this profit? And is there a defined supply of whatever it is that you took from the land to make the profit? And if there is a defined supply, i.e., there's only so much oil on the earth. And so once we burn it all, it's gone. And, they'll have to find something else in regards to making a fuel source. So, the idea being whatever it is that you're taking, whether it's uranium or oil or some other mineral, is there a defined supply, and did you reduce that supply by a certain amount to make the profit? And then you've got to figure out what that cost is. The next piece would be, were people hurt, or was their financial freedom restricted when you made the profit? So are you a banker that perhaps has some onerous rates, like you're charging way too much for loans? Is that hurting the working class people that are borrowing the money? Is that taking away other capital that could be redistributed into the economy? And is it hurting some other part of the economy that you hadn't projected? That's another thing to consider. And then are the people who you chose to run so that's the S part, right? The middle part, that's the S part. And then the G part would be, are the people you chose to direct your enterprise, the business that's making the profit, are the people diverse? Do they come from multiple backgrounds? Have they been trained in multiple business acumens? So the idea being that you're looking at the environment, you're looking at society, and you're looking at the governance of the company in regards to what the effect is on the world per the profit that you're making. So there's a real cost established to the profit that you're making. That's what ESG sets out to do. Again, it's not a proven concept. It's not something that we can say, okay, well, we did this and so that happened. That's in the process. There are so many companies that have made changes to try to help the environment, to try to help society, and to try to make the leadership more diverse. We don't know what the results of that will be yet, but as we measure those results, we'll be able to say, okay, well, we know that we got a measured result here, and if we duplicate those efforts across a number of companies or across a business sector, we believe that we can have this effect. And so the more outcomes that we get that are actual recorded outcomes, the more likely that this will continue to push forward. Now, I believe that this will be the investment strategy of the future. I mean, the way I see it, 15, 20, 30 years from now, we're not going to talk about ESG anymore. It's just going to be a part of the regular investment strategy for any company, for any investor. Again, the professor's talking about boots on the ground, very granular issues to do with the Nigerian economy, which I can't speak to. I come from America, where, the economy is completely different than it is there. So opportunity is completely different. However, mindset is the next thing I want to talk about. So I can, if anybody has questions about ESG, I'll take them at the end of my speech if there's time allowed. But I think we've kind of covered the basics of ESG. So what I want to talk about next is I want to talk directly to every person listening who is an entrepreneur. You're someone who has an idea, a business idea, something that you believe, could be profitable or could help people, and you want to bring this out to the world. I want to talk directly to you now, because that's who I am. I'm that guy. I'm that person. So there's no such thing as a bad business idea. And I'll explain what I mean. All business ideas are inherently good. The key is in the execution. There's plenty of bad business ideas out there that are making a ton of money because they were well executed. But if you have an idea and you want to bring it forward, there's no such thing as a bad business idea. There's only an idea that you didn't push forward. So I say go for it, regardless of how stupid other people might think it is, or how much it was ridiculed by your friends or relatives or whatever. If you believe in the idea, you should continue to push it forward, so long as it's not hurting anybody. Anyway, long story short, I just want to make sure that everybody understands there's no such thing as a bad business idea. If you got a business idea, it's good. Go for it. Continue to build it. The more energy and time you put into it, the more likely it is to happen. Now, the second piece is there's no such thing as ready. So many entrepreneurs say, well, I don't want to take this out to the marketplace yet because it's not ready. Well, it's never going to be ready. I'm sorry. The website's never going to be perfect. Your idea is never going to be perfectly honed. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. That does not happen. So just put it out there. Just get started. I don't care how many times you fall flat on your face. You don't have only one opportunity to put your idea forward. That does not exist. That so many of the entrepreneurs that I talk to who I've fundraised for in the past, they all believe there's this one meeting, this one time that they had where they put their business idea in front of a customer or an investor. And if they failed, in their mind, they're saying, if I fail, it's over. It's done. There's just no such thing. That doesn't exist. That's not real. Your mindset's got to be, I'm going to make this happen. And I don't care how many times I have to fail. I'm going to make it happen. The old adage here in the States that I hear so often is that it took Thomas Edison over 1,000 tries to make the filament for the light bulb. Over 1,000 tries. He never stopped trying. Some of them worked. Some of them worked for 5 minutes. Some of them worked for an hour. He finally got it to the point where it would work, and it would work for long enough to make sense for people to buy. So it took him 1,000 tries. I'm telling you, it's going to take you 1,000 tries. It's just how it is. So there's no such thing as ready. It's very, very important you try to remember that. Now, when you're talking about your idea, the best way to build any sale idea is to find a central character. I talk to so many entrepreneurs on a daily basis where their idea has to do with this massive concept. We're going to save the world. We're going to change the healthcare industry. We're going to, name it. I mean, there's so many different sectors out there. We're going to change the way oil's drilled. We're going to change the way everything, so the idea being the best sales campaigns involve one person. So you follow that one person from the time that he or she first interacts with your company to the time that your company has changed his life, whether it's a sandwich or a widget or a computer or an app or a service, whatever it is, one customer, follow them from the time that they meet your service to the time that they use your service and the effects on their life that your service has. It's that simple. The more simple you can make your pitch, the more simple you can make your explanation of your idea, the more likely it is that people will believe in it. Because the minute you give them one person to focus on, they're finding one person in their life that they're saying, hey, I'll bet John could use this. I bet Susan could use this. I'll bet Miss Vivian could use this. So the whole point is you find one person to focus on. You lead them through the whole process of your business. When you're explaining this to people, I'm telling you, people will pick it up very quickly. You can draw a storyboard out so that you can more easily explain it to people. And if you have to do like 4 or 5 slides, it's perfect. And then ultimately, when you're talking about your idea, when you're thinking about your idea, you have to look at the marketplace and you have to imagine that your idea, I'm sure that everybody that has a business idea, they've come across the sector of business that it's in, and they're thinking, well, somebody's already tried this, or maybe somebody hasn't tried this yet. The idea being, you want to make this inevitable. So you want to make an argument for your business so that, it looks like it's already headed there anyway. Or even if somebody says, hey, somebody's already doing that, you say, that's right. Somebody is already doing it, but we're going to do it better. The idea is that when you're discussing your business idea, that you make it so that it's inevitable that it's going to happen in the marketplace anyway, when you're talking to people who you're trying to interest in your product or service. And the last piece is, in talking about mindset, I just want to make sure that you're all clear. I mean, I follow a specific philosophy of my mindset. I have 3 questions I ask myself when I wake up every morning. Who am I? What do I want? What is my purpose in life? What is my dharma? And so I use those 3 questions to guide me. Who am I? What do I want? What is my purpose? And so who you are has to do with, what are your gifts and abilities? Everybody's got different ones. I mean, not everybody can talk like me. I could sit here for an hour. This would be no problem for me to just blather on for an hour and probably not bore you because I can talk. I'm really good at talking to people. I'm also good at breaking down complex ideas like economic theory and explaining it in very simple terms. So it makes it easy for me to take something really complicated like biometrics or the biomedical company that I'm working with right now, explaining their processes of breaking down the genome of each patient they bring in, and then identifying which gene is not producing correctly, and then finding an organic compound that will help to produce those effects in the body. That's a very complicated process that I just made very simple. And it's a gift I have. It's something that's a part of who I am. And then what do I want doesn't necessarily mean I, want a big blue house or a Ferrari or something like that. It has more to do with, do I want peace in the moment? And that's really what it's come to mean for me in my life, because that's really ultimately what I'm doing. I'm trying to create peace for myself, and I'm trying to create peace for the people that I interact with. Everyone that's listening right now, I'm trying to create peace for you. And then ultimately, my purpose in life is to use my gifts and abilities in the service of others. Use my gifts and abilities in the service of others. That's my mindset. I take care of my body. I try to take care of the people around me. That's my purpose in life. And so my mindset drives everything that I do. Now, next piece is something I have triplets. 2 boys and a girl, all born the same day in the year 2000. They are 21 now. They're going to be 22 this year. And so they're going through a period of life where they're all choosing their direction. They're choosing an initial direction to go. There's no such thing as choosing the wrong direction. The only incorrect choice is to not choose a direction. So the moment you choose a direction, choose it and go with it and stick with it until you're absolutely certain that it's not going to work. Some people will choose a direction and they'll stay that direction their entire lives. Other people, they'll choose it, they'll realize it was a mistake, they'll choose another direction. And that's okay. The only bad choice or the only incorrect choice is to not choose a direction. Choose a direction. So the point with choosing a direction is that, even if you choose to go, you make a 5-year plan, right? So you say, okay, I'm going to get a degree in X, whatever it is. I'm going to get a degree in physics. And in 5 years, I'm going to get a job at the neurology department at such and such university. That's your plan, right? I mean, a lot of things are going to happen to, move that plan and change it, but ultimately that's the goal. And so even if you do that, and in 5 years, you figure out that you hate neurology and you don't want to be a part of that, that's fine. You got a degree now to build on. You got something that you've built, and you've learned a lot about yourself and about the world in the process. That's what choosing a direction brings you. It brings you the experience. It brings you the education of learning about how to get from A to B. Then the next time you choose a direction, you're going to choose it a lot more carefully. And B, you're going to have the experience of having chosen the first direction and failed, or perhaps coming to an end. And you'll know, hey, when I choose this next one, I want to do a lot more with my choice. And so the idea being, just choose a direction. Okay. Don't worry about whether it's the right one or not. Because again, the only wrong one is no direction. Because then you're either just making enough money to survive, or you're just, living off the government, or you're not surviving. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So bottom line is, choose a direction. So know who you are, know what you want, know what your gifts and abilities are, know what your purpose is, choose a direction. Last point, and this is, I'm gonna give up the floor in just a moment. My last point is, the future of Nigeria lies in education. An educated populace cannot be manipulated. That's the bottom line. So as people come, people within your own culture, people from outside your culture, and they come to manipulate your land, your people, your economics, the more educated you all are, the more likely it is that you will resist those manipulations. The negativity that is brought is partly because of the lack of education. And so the more educated you can be, the more likely it is that Nigeria rises quickly. And so I know I'm sitting in America speaking to these people who are in a land where education is not just up the block and easy to get. You've got to fight for it. And I don't mean with your fists. I mean with your mindset. And so if you have access to the internet and you can watch this, then you have access to education. Education is here. The more educated you can get on economics specifically, and I think the professor would back me up on this, the more educated you can be on economics, the more likely it is that you will succeed in the world. Economics is the number one most important item that you should all be educated on. We have a governor here in the state of Florida who's a bit crazy. I don't agree with all of his politics, but he just passed a law that said that everyone who graduates high school in the state of Florida must take and pass a basic economics course. And to me, that is empowering all of our youth. It's one of the few things the guy's done that I actually agree with. It's absolutely imperative that you all understand how economics works. You need to understand what a central bank is. You need to understand how they establish currency. You need to see the people who are manipulating currencies, including the United States and China and Russia and other countries. Bottom line is, you need to understand how these systems work so that you can be a participant in that system. Otherwise, you're going to be participating, but you're not going to understand what's going on. Someone's going to hand you $1. You're going to say, hey, I can buy something with this dollar, instead of, hey, I could make more money with this dollar. If you understand economics and you start to understand the systems they work in, like the Forex markets where they play currency values against each other, like the stock markets, equities markets, that's where you own pieces of companies. I mean, the commodities markets where you're buying, little bits of ownership of oil and gas and all kinds of other stuff. Bottom line is, so I'm being reminded that there are other countries represented on our panel besides Nigeria. I'm sorry, I'm only focusing on Nigeria because my connection is to Dr. Faith, and I know Dr. Faith is in Nigeria. So I apologize if I didn't mention other countries in Africa and Asia. I apologize, but the bottom line is, all the wisdom that I'm spouting here has to do with understanding economics, understanding economic systems. If you do not understand these systems, you will be manipulated by them. If you understand them, there's more of a chance for you to actually achieve growth. Because if somebody handed you, all right, I'll pause for a second, and this will be I saw this great thing on LinkedIn yesterday. someone had put a survey on that said, would you rather have the knowledge to make $1 million, or would you rather have $1 million? And I was joking to my friends about it. And I said, at my age, I think I would just rather have the money, because the knowledge to make $1 million still involves an awful lot of work. And if you don't execute properly, you're not going to get the $1 million. The greatest idea on earth can still land in the garbage pail if you don't execute it right. And so I'd rather just have the money now. My point is, if you get an education on economics, if you get an education on how the currency systems work, you will be able to work the currency systems. So as you start to make money, you'll be able to put some aside. You'll be able to understand how to make more money with that money. And that is power. Then you have the real power is of time and motion, right? So if you have the power to control your own time, you don't have to work for somebody else. You work for yourself. You determine your own hours. You determine what you're going to make with your money, because you're your own boss, so to speak. That's real power. And you get that real power through education and through mindset. Okay, so that's all I have for today. I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to speak to everyone on the panel, and I will gladly take any questions should anybody have any. If you don't have any questions, I'm completely fine with that too, but I'm very grateful to have been here. I want to thank Dr. Faith for inviting me, and I again want to thank the professor who spoke before me, who was absolutely brilliant, who I learned so much from.
Thank you very much, Sir Heride. Thank you for impacting us. We are absolutely grateful.
It was a great honor to be here.
Yes, sir. And so for me, the overall for me, the only bad choice is to not choose a direction.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So I'll go right in to check if you have some questions. I sure do believe you would have questions or comments. I'll take it from the last. Hassan Farah says, studying economics is something that I will start studying today.
Economics is the most empowering knowledge that you can have on earth. It will enable you to make money and to create abundance in any capitalistic country on this planet.
Incredible. Incredible. Only that my first choice, they refused to give it to me. That was my first choice, my first degree. And
really?
They pushed me to a different one. I still yearn to go learn a bit of economics. And I pray to God for life to be able to do that. Thank you so much for that. In this part of the world, we call it ginger, for gingering us, for inspiring us. Thank you, sir.
I want to say Isaac said earlier while I was speaking, I wasn't reading the comments as I was talking, but he said about feudalism in the case of John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie and JP Morgan. He is absolutely right, because that's exactly where the US economy was headed. And the professor showed at the beginning of that period, this was at the end of the Gilded Age, where these guys had amassed these piles of money so big that they could basically buy anything. They could buy the government, they could buy foreign governments. I mean, they were so ridiculously powerful that ultimately the US government stepped in and broke up their companies so that at least a diverse group of wealthy people would run things instead of just three guys. So, I mean, they did what they could at the time. Do I think it was the best thing? No, but I completely agree with Isaac's comment there. That's exactly where I was going with that, the point I was making. Thank you, Isaac.
Okay, and other comments are more like appreciation comments. Do you want me to read them, sir?
No, that's okay. I can read them, and thank you so much. I'm very grateful to have even been here. So in the company of the professor, it's a wonderful place to be. I'm just a lowly sales guy from Orlando, Florida. I don't feel like I'm, super Mr. Important or anything. I've made a good career for myself and I've made some money, but, I'm not, I haven't done all the things that I set out to do yet. I'm still, my mindset is here and I'm still trying to create abundance. So if someone heard what I said today and were inspired to do something good for themselves, then mission accomplished. That's what I came here for. And by here, I mean to Earth.
And sincerely, Sir Harold, you have impacted us. Me, I usually say me, and then I want others to feel a bit of, you have impacted all of us. You have. You are an icon, you are a mentor, you have educated us, and we are grateful. Thank you very much, sir.
I do see one question I'd like to answer, if that's okay.
Okay.
What was the role of Henry Ford in breaking feudalism? And so Henry came about about the turn of the century, at the time that the other oligarchs of the time were being split up by the government. And Henry's idea was that he could sell his product a lot easier if everyone could afford it. And so he did everything he could to ensure that the people who worked for him made enough money to be able to afford the product that they were making. And also that, everyone who had a job would be able to afford to buy a Ford, which is part of the reason that he only made them in one color. I mean, the joke in the early 1900s when he first came up with the assembly line and the Model T was, you can have it in any color you want so long as it's black.
Would that be
he also worked to give economic opportunity to everyone. He was not someone that at the time, and this was not a popular idea, but he hired people of color. He hired Asian people. He hired people who were from Ireland, which was also an unpopular people at the time. So he didn't care who you were, so long as you were there to do a good day's work. Very forward thinking.
Okay, Sir Harold, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, anybody that wants to send me a LinkedIn request, please, by all means, send me a request on LinkedIn. I accept everyone. So I'm more than happy to connect with all of you on LinkedIn. Feel free to send me something on LinkedIn. And now I'm gonna stop talking now and let you guys go on with the program. But I'm so grateful to have been here. And it was a true honor to speak to all of you.
And we're grateful to have you, sir. On behalf of Youth Up Global,
I think we might have lost Miss Vivian here. Can you guys still hear?
Yes, thank you very much, Harold, for that speech, for that presentation. And thank you for honoring this invitation.
On behalf of the president of Youth League, thank you, sir.
Okay,
she's back on the ball to Michael, who please present the next speaker. Thank you. Hello, Shreville. Are you there?
Thank you so much, Vivian, and thank you. Yes, I hope I can be heard.
Yes, you
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vivian, and thank you, Harold, for sharing your insights on the significance of mindset. I think we have picked a lot from your presentation. Our next guest speaker will be tackling on leadership for social impact. And I hope we are all expectant to hear on this particular topic. Our next guest speaker is Roland Ngole. Roland Ngole is an award-winning international speaker. He has inspired and positively impacted audiences at events with his speeches both in Germany and abroad. The press describes him as the go-to expert in his field. He is the embodiment of what it takes to create a life that is inspired and driven by a well-defined vision. He has overcome challenges and knows what it takes to go from nothing armed only with vision and see your vision become a reality. So our guest speaker is multilingual. He speaks 5 languages and has worked in different departments in diverse companies in cross-functional teams. His mission is to help people and companies to maximize their vision so that they can attain their highest success and maximize their potential. I see most of our guest speakers have their mottos. Roland's motto is pursue your vision and live a vision-inspired life. He won the International Speaker Slam 2021 in Germany and was awarded the Winner Award and the Excellence Award. He's a social impact-driven leader, always seeking ways to provide opportunities for the youth. And he's the founder of Achieve the Vision Academy. Permit us to welcome Roland Ngole to speak to us this afternoon. Roland Ngole, are you there?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. And thank you for...
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity you've given me today. Thank you, Dr. Faith, and thank you to all the Youth Up Global team that has set up this event. So maybe as you can feel, I'm a little bit sick, but I can speak. So I'll try to keep my session a little bit short so that I don't cough a lot during the sessions. So I'm going to share my screen. I've prepared a presentation, but I'm gonna keep everything a little bit short so that I don't cough a lot in the session. Can you see can you see the screen already? Is the screen already shared?
Yes.
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 We can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, thank you very much. So before I begin, I'll first of all like to explain something before I begin, because when we as leaders or when people as impact leaders, when we hear the profile of people, we hear what people have done or achieved, it might make some of us feel inferior, or some of us feel like we don't have what it takes to create impact. So I just want to begin by explaining the fact that I come originally from Cameroon, and several years ago, it was like 2001, my life was like messed up because my dad suddenly died, and in the neighborhood where I was living, there were no longer opportunities for me, and I wasn't like the type of person people in the neighborhood actually wanted to associate with. Nobody wanted to associate with me because while other students were going to university, I was going beside the road. I was like selling phone cards and giving people the cell phone to call. So people in the neighborhood thought like, there's nothing out of this one. This one cannot become anything. So, but what made the difference from that place to what I'm doing today is nothing other than vision and faith in God. That's what made the difference. So, and each and every one of us, we have what it takes to create impact. We have what it takes to actually change our world, regardless of where we are. And I want to thank here Professor Dubisi for all the insight he gave, and also for mentioning some people who have also so much inspired me. Somebody like Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie is one of the people who have most impacted or inspired my life, although he's of late, because this is somebody who portrays and embodies what it means to start in life with nothing. Carnegie started from Scotland as a poor boy, came in the US, built a massive steel company, but it didn't end there. He was looking at how can I impact, how can I improve society. So he went on not just to build libraries worldwide that he furnished and gave to society, bringing us to the other point which the doctor said, that the more knowledge you have, the more impact you can create. Carnegie understood that what made the difference in his life from a poor Scottish boy to becoming the richest man in the world was just knowledge. He read books. So Carnegie impacted the world in his own measure by actually building libraries and helping to launch the High Court of Justice, and he actually strived to establish peace in the world. So I'm really thankful for that insight, and also for Harold, who also mentioned the point that his life mission is to use his gift as a service to humanity. And that is something that dawned on me when I came to Germany. When I came to Germany, my first thought was, I just thought, if I could just make it here abroad, if I could just finish my studies, if I could just get a job, if my life could just be better than the way it was in those days in Cameroon when everything was bad, it would be good. But having been inspired by people like Carnegie, I realized that it's not just about me making it, it's about me creating an impact. It's about me looking for an opportunity to impact other people, to be a blessing to other people. So now what I did through that is I created a model, and this is just like an introduction. I created a model for what I went through in Germany because I didn't have any mentor when I came here. There was no relative that was guiding me when I came to Germany. So I made a lot of mistakes. So I decided to come up with a model that I'm going to use to help any student that comes to Germany, especially international students, so that they shouldn't like miss their way in Germany. And that is what is found in this quadrant where I say purpose, significance, and freedom. Because for us to create impact, we need to realize that beyond success in life comes significance, because success is when you are striving to make it, when you're striving to have what it takes for you to survive, when you're striving to have abundance for your life. But significance is that point where you are no longer driven by you're no longer driven by your own convenience, but you are driven by what you could do to make the life of other people around you or people coming behind you better. And that is what I was striving to let these students understand, that, hey, you left your home country, you came to this country. Don't think like because you came here to study, that is all what you have to achieve. No, there is a greater purpose, a greater cause beyond your coming to Germany. And if you understand that cause, then you will go through this quadrant from working and doing odd jobs in Germany. I'm going to help you on how to gain experience, and I'm going to help you on how to become established as a skilled professional in Germany. But beyond that, I'm going to help you now to transition in what it takes to be impactful or to impact the lives of other students in Germany. So, and this is what led me to create a project. And this project is what I created with a university in the city where I live, the University of Kassel. So I created a project that I call a social impact project that I call the Empowerment Room. And the goal of this Empowerment Room was just to help students, all those, this is not about African students, international students, because they have a different reality. All of us grew up in a different setting. And when we come here, there are a lot of prejudice that we have in our minds. Some people tell you, no, as an African or as a foreigner, you cannot become a team lead in a company. Yes. Some people tell you, no, you cannot study journalism here. Your acts will never allow you to become a primetime journalist on TV. So there are a lot of stereotypes and there are a lot of limiting beliefs that people have when they move into this country. So the Empowerment Room was aimed at actually empowering these students and helping them not just to succeed academically, but helping them to succeed in life, because their life is not just their academic life. Their life is made up of different areas. They have their social life. When they leave their studies, when they leave their lectures, they go out and they interact with people. How do they manage their social life? There's a relationship and family life. That is also something they have to manage. There's a financial life, which is even more important here, because they have to work, some of them part-time, to provide for their well-being. There is their spirituality. Do they believe in God, or are they just living a life where they believe there's there's no God, or there's no spiritual realm, or there's nothing that could help them actually change their circumstances. What about their academic life and their career life? Do they have a vision of where they are going? That was the aim of this empowerment group. So what I want to use this session to share is, I just want to share from experience what I believe that what will help each and every social impact leader. Because some of you have been on LinkedIn. I follow the page, Youth Up Global and Dr. Faye and the great work he's doing. I follow it and like the post and comment. I've seen a lot of amazing people representing Youth Up Global in different countries. I've seen a lot of amazing people who are working behind the scenes, who are the team of Youth Up Global, who are making this event possible. And when I look at all these people, I feel, what could I share with them? So that irrespective of the country they find themselves, irrespective of the responsibility they are taking upon themselves, so that they should be sure that they can create impact, not just in what they are aspiring to do with Youth Up Global, but they can even create impact beyond what they imagine. So the first point now I'm going to be talking about is, because I will repeat the vision of Youth Up Global, which was already stated here. So the first point I'll be talking about will be commitment to the vision. Youth Up Global has a clear, defined vision, which is here to become the largest social impact driven platform for youths and organizations globally. That's the vision. And this vision is actually gaining grounds. And all of us are partakers of this vision. I myself have told Dr. Faye, whatever I can do for Youth Up Global in Germany, I'm open to be part of such an amazing project. But what does it take, or what will it take for the leaders to actually make this thing happen? And I would say commitment to the vision is the first point. As I began the talk, I said that I'm not feeling fine. Okay, for 2 years, since the pandemic has started, we're free. We work from home. We don't meet a lot with people. My wife and I work from home and stuff like that. So until our son started going to kindergarten, so when he started going to kindergarten, every sickness that kids bring there, he brings it home and we automatically get it. So the last gift he brought to us was COVID. So the thing affected my voice. So, and the closer we're getting to this day, the more rough my voice was. And yesterday I couldn't even speak like this. So now the thought came into my mind, oh, but Roland, you could just call Dr. Faith and tell him you can't speak today because you're not feeling fine. I mean, you're sick. Just call him and tell him you can't do it. But I learned what it means to commit to a vision 3 years ago. And I know that when you are part of something that is big, and when you are part of something that is aimed at creating an impact, you need commitment in order to make that happen. And what happened 3 years ago was, I had an opportunity to go and speak at an event, and that event was in London. And I had accepted to go speak at that event in London several months before. I had committed. I've given them my word. Now, when I gave them my words, my wife was pregnant then, and the delivery date was scheduled for the 26th of May. So what happened now was, I knew whatever happens, the child will not come when I'm gone because it will be bad. My wife we don't have any family here. We are just both of us, and she will need my support, and I don't want to miss such an occasion. So what happened now was that the child came sooner, and he was born 2 days before the day I was going to London. So now when I came to the hospital, they haven't left the hospital, and they were still attending to them medically. The thought of actually stopping this event, calling and saying, no, I can't come to the event. This is a 2 days old boy now. I can't leave him here, and I'm flying to London to go and speak at that event. Events will always happen, but I can't leave my family now and go do something, although that will have an impact on somebody. That thought came to my mind. But as I was contemplating on that thought, and that is when I learned commitment, and I held my 2-day-old baby in the hand, and I was looking at that child's face, and I was contemplating. Then looking at the innocent face of that child, I could imagine the child saying, "Daddy, I'm new in this world, I'm still trying to cope. But you have made a commitment somewhere to go and speak out your heart to people who are hungry for something better. So Daddy, please go and commit so that later on you can teach me what commitment means." So when I got that inspiration from the innocent face of my baby boy, I knew I had to go to London. So I flew to London. So when my voice was disturbing me a few days ago, that's the same thought that came to my mind. I have to commit to the vision. So commitment to the vision is very, very important. And what does commitment mean? Commitment does not mean that you will do what you said you are going to do. But commitment means that you will do what you are going to do days, weeks, months, years after the feeling in which you said it has left you. It's easy to say, "I'll do something today," when you're feeling good. But what happens if you have to do that thing tomorrow and that feeling is no longer with you? You commit and you do it nevertheless, because that is what actually builds your character. Another point that is important for leadership and for leadership to create social impact is that when we have a vision, just like the slide shows here, when we have a vision, the vision of Youth Up Global is clear. We want to become the largest social impact-driven platform for youths and organizations globally. That is the vision. That is where we are heading to. Now, what happens is, most of us as leaders, we are so excited about this vision. We are so pumped up about this vision that we just want to charge towards this vision. We just want to go and make it happen. But the thing now is, we cannot achieve a vision alone. We need people, we need a team, we need helpers, we need collaboration. And in order for us to onboard the right people who will help us actually achieve that vision, we cannot charge up and we cannot start just with the vision in mind. We have to actually ignite the why in the people. When I started this empowerment room, I didn't go to the students and say, "Hey, I'm starting an empowerment room tomorrow. You know what? When you come into this empowerment room, you are going to learn this and that and that and that, and your life in Germany is gonna be good." And I didn't even go to the university and tell them, "Do you know what? I'm starting this empowerment room. It's gonna help students." I began with the why. I was explaining to the lady at the university that, "Do you know that Germany has a shortage of skilled labor? That is statistically proven. Now, how will it be if all these foreign students that graduate here and who want to remain in Germany, how will it be if each and every one of them graduated here and got a job? Wouldn't that be good for the German economy? Wouldn't that be good for the young people?" The lady found the idea great. I said, "And wouldn't that be a small step towards actually helping Germany to fill the gap of this shortage of skilled labor?" The lady thought, that is interesting. Now, when I went and I was pitching it to the international students, I was telling the students that, "Hey, when you said you wanted to come to Germany, what was actually in your mind? Can you tell me what was in your mind? What did you actually want to do? Something prompted you to leave your home country to come to a foreign land to study. What was that?" I was trying to know their why. I was trying to know what was their motive, the purpose behind their coming to Germany. Because if I could know their why, then I could connect that why with the vision and then I could fire them up like like St. Antonio says here, that if you want to build a ship, you don't start up with division of labor. You don't say, oh, you go buy, go get wood, you go bring a saw. No, 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 no. You just look at the people and you say, you know what, guys, beyond this river you're seeing, beyond this horizon, there is such a nice place beyond this place that if you went there, you will eat mangoes, you will enjoy this. If you could speak to what actually drives each and every one of them, you won't have to tell somebody to go get a nail. They are going to tell you, let's go out and make impact. Why? Because you connected the why to the vision of where you are going. So why is very important. And I'll also add here and connect with what the professor was saying. We live in a society and we live in a time now when knowledge is very essential. So we live in the so-called age of the 3 C's. There is rapid change. There is increasing complexity and there is staggering competition. In order to maintain and in order for you to have an impact, as a social impact, as a leader, you need to increase the knowledge. That is what the professor also tells us, that you need more knowledge in order to impact people. And the fact that you need more knowledge means that you have to constantly adapt. You have to constantly update yourself so that you are not left behind as change is happening in our society, because we live in a very dynamic environment. Things are changing. There are new skills that have been coming up. There are new marketable skills or high-ending skills that you could learn. But if you are not flexible, if you are still tied up in the old thing and you don't want to evolve with society, then you are going to be left behind and you run the risk of being made redundant. And for this, we need the right mindset. And Mr. Herald also talked about having the right mindset. You need the right mindset, because what I learned over here is that a lot of international students will go lease a cell phone. They will go to the shop and lease an iPhone, lease a Samsung, and they are paying $50 for 50 euros for this phone. Like for the next 2 years, they'll be paying 50 euros for this phone, and it's a contract phone. But when you tell them, hey, invest 100 euros to acquire a skill that will give you a certification and that will improve your CV so that you can actually become more attractive to recruiters, they tell you $100 is too much. You say, no, that's too expensive. So we need to understand that we cannot master these 3 C's if we do not change our mindset. We cannot master these 3 C's if we do not understand that we ought to position ourselves, irrespective of the areas we find ourselves. We have to position ourselves at the age of change, so that as that wave of change is actually driving through the society, so that each and every one of us will be at that verge, will be seizing opportunities, and will be impacting people in our locality without actually being left behind because of what is happening. The next point I have here is based on associations. When I mean associations, I'm talking about the networks. I'm talking about the people you hang around, surround yourself with. I would not have been capable of setting up this Achieve the Vision Academy that helps people to achieve their vision, or corporations. I would never have been able to do that if I kept the associations and I hung around the people I knew. It doesn't mean that the people I knew are bad. It just means that their face and what I was trying to do was beyond what they could comprehend. And the people you hang around with, they have an impact on your life, consciously or unconsciously. And let me explain why. There is a study that was made where they took 5 monkeys and they put them in a cave. And since monkeys are mammals, most researchers believed that such a study will also apply to human. So the study was made, 5 monkeys were placed in a cage. And the cage was closed, and it was a very high cage, like 5 meters tall. So what happened now is they placed some bananas at the top of that cage. So the first monkey tried to climb up that cage to catch the banana, a bunch of banana. So as the monkey tried to climb up, one of the researchers used a pipe and he sprayed water on the monkey. So the monkey left the banana and jumped down. So the second monkey attempted to do the same and was splashed with water. So 2 monkeys were splashed with water. So what happened now is the researchers, they took those 2 monkeys that were splashed with water, they took them outside the cage and they put 2 other new monkeys in the cage. So, and then they examined what was happening. They were surprised that the 3 monkeys that had experienced the water splash that the other monkeys had were not going up, and even the 2 new monkeys that entered the cage were not willing to go up there. So what they did now was they started changing the monkeys again out of the cage by replacing the 3 that have experienced the water splash. They took one of them out and replaced another monkey. They took the second one out and replaced another monkey. They took the third one out and replaced another monkey. Now there were 5 new monkeys in the cage and a bunch of ripe bananas up, and none of those monkeys dared go up there. So what they concluded was that there is something that was unconsciously transmitted from those 2 monkeys that were splashed with water. There was something that scared them that was unconsciously transmitted to these other monkeys. So when you hang around some people, there are things that are unconsciously transmitted. And you might feel like I have a lot of willpower. I can handle anything. They say environment is stronger than willpower. So you could have willpower, but if you're around the wrong people, you might not be capable to create the impact you are striving to do. Human capital, we come again now to the point that was also mentioned, information, knowledge. And what I want to talk about is human capital. The point I want to make about this human capital is the fact that you as a leader, you are the best investment. You are the best investment. And I've come to the point where I say, I understand that we have, or human beings have a body, they have a spirit, they have a body, and they have a soul. So what I was doing in the past was that I will feed my body and I'll take care of my body so much that I will go in a restaurant and eat nice food. I will buy nice clothes to try to like maybe feed my ego or whatsoever. But I neglected my soul and my spirit. So what I mean by that is you have to understand that anything you invest in you, reading a book, attending a seminar, learning a new skill, those are things that cannot be taken away from you. If somebody gave me the option now that I have to leave Germany now, it's 2 p.m. or 9 minutes past 2 p.m. in Germany. If somebody said, Roland, you have to leave Germany now, you are only allowed to take one thing, one physical belonging, nothing else. Now you have to leave Germany, never to return. Roland, choose. I would tell them, please, can I take my books? I will gather all the books I have bought in this place, and I have some and physical one. I will gather all those books. I will say, keep the rest, and I will go without any regrets. Why? Because those books are human capital. Because those books are the tools that have given me the knowledge, the tools that have helped me to break those limiting thoughts and barriers that were in my mind when I came over here. Because those books are what give me the consciousness and the confidence that, yes, I can make an impact. So when you understand that you are the best investment to invest in as a leader, then you will strive to keep increasing value and adding value in yourself, because you know that there are people you have to impact, and you can't impact people or give people something you don't have. One of our speakers said that you can't give people what you don't have. So you have to keep improving your capacity so that the more you are giving out, you don't actually become empty. And when you start giving out what you have, there will be an unquenchable hunger in you to acquire more, because it is not about you. It's about the impact and the lives that you are actually changing. And the last point that I'll have is when we embark upon social impact as leaders, there will be times where, as a leader in Bangladesh, as a leader in Taiwan, as a leader in Germany, as a leader in Nigeria, as a leader in Cameroon, in Tanzania, all over where Youth Up Global is represented, and even new places and countries where it's still going to get new ambassadors, there will be times where you as a leader, you will feel like giving up. You will feel like giving up because you feel like, oh, this vision of Youth Up Global, it worked in Nigeria. Yes, I understand. Dr. Faith had a lot of connection in Nigeria. That's why it worked. It worked in Nigeria. Yes, because he had the resources. Now I'm trying to make it work. I'm trying to replicate it in Bangladesh. It's not working. I'm trying to do it in Germany. I'm facing challenges. I'm trying to do it in India. It's actually not working. How can I do it? I'm going to give up. It's not working here. What I want you to understand is that the moment you feel like giving up on this social impact project, you have to understand one thing. You have to understand that there are people whose life and destiny is connected and is intertwined with your impact. There are people who, if you don't go out and make that impact, if you don't go out and speak, if you don't go out and actually open their mind for them to understand that they could learn new skills, these people's life and destiny might never see the day of light. And God has made it in such a way that you are the one who has just been appointed to go speak hope to such people and to go impact their life. So each time when you feel like giving up, think of those whose life might not see the day of light, because in you is the lifeline that connects their destiny. So the days where I didn't feel like going to the library to read, the days where I didn't feel like actually focusing on passing an exam, I used to think of people who are hoping for me to succeed. I used to think of orphans and street children in Cameroon whose compassion I have. And these are people I want to really go and support. I want to go buy books and furnish libraries in their orphanages. I want to see how I can sponsor some of them. I used to think at those orphans and I felt like, no, Roland, this thing is no longer about you. It's about these kids whose compassion and cry you feel. And God has placed you now at this place because you have this responsibility to go and help these kids come out of their predicament. So if you give up now, Roland, if you don't go and do what you have to do, these kids might no longer have another person who actually helped them out of this thing. That is what actually kept me going. And that is this mindset that is actually keeping me going each time I face difficulties. And the last point is, I want each and every one of you to understand that it is possible. It is possible for you to make impact regardless of where you find yourself. The mindset that I had when I was in Cameroon, I thought where you are is what actually makes you successful in life. I thought where you are is actually what makes the difference. Yes, where you are makes the difference, but where you are is just a small fraction of that success equation. Because as a man thinking in his heart, so is he. The person you are is more important than where you are. So if you understand that as a social impact leader, that who you are is what actually determines the impact you have and not where you are going to understand that if I build capacity myself as a leader, if I don't give up, if I develop my human capital, it is possible for me to replicate the same results that Dr. Faith and other social impact leaders have in different parts of the world, it is possible for me to replicate those results. Before April, the picture you're seeing here is a picture of Roger Bannister. Before April 1954, it was scientifically impossible to run 4 miles in less than 4 minutes. It was scientifically impossible. Nobody had ever done that. But Roger Bannister, he stepped up. Just like we can say, it was possible for somebody to build a global impact organization in Nigeria, but Dr. Fate, he stepped up. Dr. Fate stepped up and he built the organization from scratch in Nigeria, and the organization is gaining grounds and is spreading globally. So after Roger Bannister break that mark, after he ran 4 minutes in less, after he ran a mile in less than 4 minutes, what happened? That was in 1954. Up till this day, over 20,000 students and people have run a mile in less than 4 minutes. What happened? The mile did not change. But what actually changed was the fact that each and every one that stood at the starting line knew that if Roger Bannister had done that before, then it's possible. So I want to tell each and every social impact leader that if Dr. Fate has done it in Nigeria, it means that it is possible. So when you take your task and when you start at the finish line, when you stand at the line, know that it is possible that you can create that impact beyond Nigeria, and it is possible that you can make a difference. So go and make a difference. Thank you very much for your attention.
Vivian, you're muted.
I'm sorry, Doctor. I thought Trivial would take on the questions or commendations for Roland. Okay,
I think it's more.
Yes.
I think it's more of. I think it's more of commendations so that we can accommodate other speakers.
Okay, that's fine. That's very fine. Trivial, do you want to take over? Please go on. I can see.
All right, all right.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Roland Ngole, for the insights and giving us on leadership for social impact. There is a commitment, if we have a commitment to the vision and talking to us about the power of association, human capital, and bringing to our attention that someone is actually looking up to us and challenging us that it is actually possible.
Thank you too.
I'm seeing from the comment section, Adindu is saying there is no impossibility in my dictionary, mind anymore. Thanks, Mr. Roland. People are giving their appreciations. The nations are waiting, expecting us to come. Roba is saying that. Great job, Roland. Thank you. And that was massive, sir. Thank you so much. And I'll hand this over to Vivian for introduction of the first panel discussion.
Okay, once again, thank you, Sir Roland. That was mind-blowing. Thank you for the nuggets on commitment. Thank you so much, sir. So moving on, we are heading to the first panel discussion. And with me, I have 4 panelists who will be sharing this session. The first is, let me ask that you pardon me, just in case I mispronounce your name and all of that. Pardon me. So the first is Terry Mante. He's the founder of the Accra Hub. The second panelist is Eric Osora, founder of Afoma and Celtics. And the third is Mr. Patrick Gueri. He's the founder and CEO of Sirachain. And the last on the list of the panelists is Safikadu Rete Alema Yeho. He's the General Manager, Youth and Education Support Service, Ethiopia. And they will be taking on the topic that says social impact projects, challenges and opportunities for social entrepreneurs. Ladies and gentlemen, you're all welcome. The microphone is on, please go on. Is Terry Mante around? Hello? Am I audible? Can someone hear me, please?
Yes, Vivian, I can hear you.
Okay. So I have called out the names of our panelists. Are they available?
Our panelists, Terry Mante, Eric, and Mr. Patrick, kindly confirm your availability.
Yeah, they should just raise their hands. Okay, I can see Sir Eric's hand. Maybe he's the only one because it's just one hand I can see. Okay, sir. Good to have you on board, sir. Please, can you unmute Sir Eric?
Fikado is also here from Ethiopia.
Okay, wait.
They were supposed to be the second panel, but go ahead.
Oh, panel discussion 1. That's what is written here, Dr. Faith. Oh, wow. Okay, I can see it's panel discussion 2. But on the things you sent to me, it is written as panel discussion 1. Sorry about that. So that's a mix-up. Okay, fine. So I go on that one. The panel discussion 2 is on achievement of social development goals, the role of social enterprises.
Vivian, go ahead with the first panel that has been raised for the first one that you mentioned, since you've called them out already.
Okay. All right. So the first question for the panelists would be, what effective projects or training programs are available to bridge the gap in youth education, especially with youth in rural and high density areas? What is being done for the group that is disadvantaged the most? Perhaps I could take 3 questions before the remaining, so they could all respond on whichever question they feel like responding. Would that be okay, Dr. Faith?
You are in charge, go ahead.
So the second question says, what are the prevalent challenges being faced by social enterprises, NGOs, as well as organizations, and how can they be tackled? The third question says, with the structural changes in the labor market and the clamor for digital skills, what better ways can organizations equip the youth for the future of work? How best can the youth be able to prepare for the fourth industrial revolution in countries hardly well equipped now? So can we have our panelists respond to the three questions, the three questions I've raised so far? I'll read the remaining after 15 minutes or thereabout. Thank you. Hello, Sir Eric. I thought I saw him raise his hand.
Eric, you're muted. You're muted. Please unmute.
Thank you. I was trying to indicate that you guys have me muted. So, and I'm in transit right now. So, I think there was a bit of a confusion. I was supposed to be on panel 2, I believe. So I apologies and all whatnot.
Okay, you're supposed to be on panel 2, sir.
Yes, correct.
Now,
Okay.
the panel that is on now ought to be the second panel after the first panel on SDG. But you called the second panel to come first. So I said, let it go ahead.
Okay.
No, it's okay, actually, Doctor. We can just switch and go to the second panel since he had prepared himself for the second panel.
I think that works. I think that works so that he could relax to take the second one.
Yeah, so the second panel is on social impact, isn't it?
It's on DG.
Okay, on the DG. Okay, fine.
Achievement of SDG, go ahead.
Okay. So, Sir Eric, let me go over the questions. You can respond on whichever one.
It's not, please, sorry, there's a misconception. Please, let's get it right. Eric is on a panel for the project and challenges. The panel that he is called on now to present is his panel, but not the time for the panel. That's the point. You're supposed to come after the first panel discussion.
I see. Should I go over the questions for the panel too?
Introduce the panelists for achievement of SDG so that they can present.
Okay, I honestly don't have it here. Shrivio, please, can you take over if you have that of SDG?
All right. Go
ahead, please.
All right, Vivian. Our first panel discussion for today's discussion will be on achievement of sustainable development goals, and we'll measure on the role of social enterprises. Our panelists, we have 4 panelists, and we have Daniela Valenzuela. She is the project manager, Blue Globe Innovation. Then we have Salma Mohammed. She is a data analyst at UNICEF. Then we have Cynthia Obimwane. She's the founder of Talk Love Africa Foundation. Then the other panelist we have today is Delsa Deliwa. She's the Assistant Regional Director, Connect Southern Africa. So these are our panelists. I'll request them to confirm their availability and if they are okay with their mics. Delsa, Cynthia, Salma, and Daniela Valenzuela.
And they could raise their hands if they are available so we can know that they are here and that their microphones are unmuted.
Yes, thank you so much. Cynthia is available.
Yes. Perhaps she's the only one. Any other panelists? Okay, fine. So Shriver,
So
should I go ahead
Cynthia,
and read the question?
all right, let's talk to Cynthia Bimwane. Welcome to this panel discussion as we wait for the others. I'll request you to answer. I'll ask you 2 questions and request you to respond on them as we wait for the others. On our first question for this panel discussion is, to the understanding of someone who is hearing it for the first time, what does SDGs mean? Sustainable Development Goals, and how best can these goals be achieved? And the next question is, how can social enterprises provide efficient, innovative, and sustainable solutions to socio-economic problems? And is there a more practical way through their mission statements, and in what way whether it's providing a service or production in goods? I hope you got the questions well. Cynthia, floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much for that question. But before I proceed, I'd like to thank Dr. Faith for the invitation and the entire Youth Up Global team for the honor of inviting me to be on this panel. I must say it's an awesome one. It's always an awesome one when I see myself in the midst of youths, because I know that we are the change drivers currently. We are the ones that should influence the needed change currently in the society. All right, so let me just head on straight to responding to the first question. So for clarity, I would like to start by saying that in the year 2015, the United Nations member states, which consists of about 193 countries, came together to adopt an agenda for sustainable development. Now, this agenda consists of a collection of 17 goals, which are more like interlinked. And by interlink, I mean that while trying to address one of the goals, you might find out that you are addressing 2 or more of the rest of the goals. Now, sustainable development, also known as the global goals, is more or less like a master plan, a model, or a blueprint drawn to achieve a more sustainable world for all. So you can actually say that the Sustainable Development Goals are action plans designed to tackle the world's greatest challenges in order to bring about peace, prosperity, and sustainability for the future by the year 2030. So now when we talk about achieving the SDGs, for me, one thing comes to mind, and it is collaborative and collective efforts of all. It's not something that will have to leave for the UN alone to do. It's not something that will say, okay, civil society organizations should handle it, non-for-profit organizations to handle it, or social enterprises should handle it. It should be a collaborative and collection of all, first, to create awareness about the subject matter. So I think it is very important that people know about the SDGs, they know why the SDGs were actually drawn up, and know what they hope to achieve when they work or take actions for the Sustainable Development Goals. Then something else that comes to mind should be action, because it's not enough for one to know about the SDGs, why they were drawn up. Most importantly, it is also good that people take actions to address these goals. So you go about taking individual actions, you go about taking organizational actions, you go about taking national actions. Governments have responsibilities to play. The government have responsibility in this. Individuals have responsibility, as well as organizations. So people have to come together to take actions and ensure that these actions are passed on to the future generation. So what we are doing today currently, in the summit is more or less like creating awareness. Yeah, we are discussing the SDGs, which is fine, but much more. We are also creating awareness and taking action on the subject matter, right? So the last point I would like to note is the part of being accountable. You hold yourself accountable for taking action. The nation and countries hold themselves accountable for taking action. Everybody should be responsible and know that they should be accountable for everything they do. So as an organization, you may say you're making social impact in your community or your society, and you happen to be a social enterprise or a full for-profit organization. It's important to know the impact that whatever business, whatever services that you're creating, that you're making has on the society. Because one might be addressing or trying to provide or meet a need in the society, and you find out that, I think it was Mr. Harold that mentioned something about that, that the place of knowing the impact of whatever you do to your society. If what you're doing, maybe oil, gas flaring and all that, if it's affecting the community, the society, and the people. Because at the long run, most of the environmental threats we face today are as a result of organizational actions, individual actions, cutting down of trees, discarding of waste and plastic materials into oceans and the rest of it. So it is important we all hold ourselves accountable, right? We might be doing the right thing by impacting our society, by impacting our nations and all that, but it's also important that we'll also go back to assess the impact of the developmental works, that the impact of the manufacturing or activities and all that we do in the society, be sure that they don't also have, a backlash on the society or in the environment and end up causing havoc in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your response. That has covered a lot. Maybe one more question over to you. Do you think the UN Charter can be helpful in addressing the specific goals? And are there examples of social entrepreneurs in other regions that can be a reference to what can be achieved?
Absolutely, absolutely. My answer to that is yes. The UN Charter can be helpful in addressing these goals and these challenges because it's a mandate to the member state. It serves as a mandate to the member state in the sense that it states that member states should uphold international peace, security, and all that to achieve a higher standard of living. So bearing in mind that this charter is rules and obligations, and its rules and obligations are binding, you found out that the member states go the extra mile to take actions. So they didn't just agree to this, they go back to their various countries, they go back to their nations to find ways to implement, right? So there are quite a number of social entrepreneurs and enterprises doing great things across the planet. Likes of Shiza Shahid, who is the co-founder of Malala Fund, which empowers women and girls, advocating and spreading access to education. She is doing amazing and incredible work, and I admire her a lot. Likes of Bill Pratin, who is the founder of the Ashoka that supports social entrepreneurs globally. He's doing an amazing work. Then I'm bringing it down to Nigeria. Persons like Tony Elumelu with his Tony Elumelu Foundation, empowering entrepreneurs. They are doing great. There are quite a number of persons doing great things as social entrepreneurs in the society. And by the reasons of what they are doing, they are addressing the life challenges, no poverty, tackling poverty, because when you think about tackling poverty, you think about providing for the people. So as an entrepreneur who is able to make ends meet by running a business, being empowered to start a business, what he has ended up doing in that sphere is that he created an empowerment for one person, which ultimately caused that ripple effect in the sense that there is job creation. So this person is empowered to start his business, and you find out that more persons are empowered in the sense that it creates job opportunities, it helps them sustain livelihood and all that. So you find out that these people making great impact in their affairs are actually creating the ripple effect needed in the society to address all the environmental challenges and all that we face currently. Thank you very much for that question.
Thank you so much for a very informed response. And is Eric is here?
Sherville, I have a question for Ambassador Cynthia.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, Ambassador, thank you so much. Thank you for having you. Thank you. So, but my question is this: as a social entrepreneur, how are the activities of your organization aiding the achievement of SDGs, especially to the youth? Is there a link in the work that you do and alleviating poverty as well as protecting the environment? Are there any challenges to implementing these goals in this specific country?
Okay, thank you very much, Vivian, for that question. And yeah, the work we are doing is actually impacting the youth because we do a whole lot of women empowerment. Now, why I say women empowerment, not that we don't empower others, but why we do women empowerment is because of the gap that we have identified as an organization. We actually focus on 5 key sustainable development goals, which are no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, and gender equality. Now, it is under the gender equality program. Remember when I mentioned that while addressing one goal, you can actually find that you are addressing others. So women empowerment can come up in economic development, fine, but then we are doing women empowerment right now under gender equality, having identified a gap in that space that women actually needs to be empowered so that when eventualities occurs, maybe we've done series of programs which we targeted our widows who are actually the breadwinners in their family. So most times you find out that when these women are not empowered and maybe something like the breadwinner goes, who is the husband, the family struggles, it affects the children, and then as a whole, it affects the nation and the society as a whole. So basically what we do, we empower women, empowerment in the sense that we get them trained. We get them trained, we empower them to start businesses, we empower them to scale up their businesses for better productivity. So why do we provide the trainings? Because of the aspect that we know that, I think it was Prof that mentioned it, that you can't give what you don't have. Right? So when you have that, when you're educated, which comes back to the education, when you're educated to know what you should know, then it's easier for you to be productive in that sphere. So we empower women. Women, don't mind that I said women. When we say women, most times we mean women and girls. And between the women and girls, we also have the youths there. So we empower the youths as well. Then another part where the youths are actually brought into what we do is the part that we know the very importance of youth in the society because they are drivers of change. So we bring them in as stakeholders for the implementations of the SDGs. So what do they do when they come in? So they play the integral roles. Most of our volunteers are youths. Most of our volunteers, aside them getting trained, getting the opportunity to be trained, they are also able to provide that training to others, through our training session segments and initiative. They're also able to provide these trainings, which ultimately affects and impacts people. So yeah, when we talk about entrepreneurship and empowerment, we do empowerment for the youth, which include women, girls, and the age bracket. I don't really know, I tend to kind of agree with Dr. Faith when he said that his is from what age to 45, because I wonder when I look at myself, someone tells me I'm not a youth, I feel like seriously, I am a youth, So we find out that even with that caught up there, you find out that some people are marginalized as well, even though we don't think the same way. So you find out an opportunity which is meant for someone that should be thought to be a youth, maybe 36 years, and you find out that the peg there is 35, and this person can't even take advantage of this opportunity. So what we do now is we have those trainings. We also provide this training for the youths so that they can be able to scale and excel in whatever field of their endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Vivian.
Yeah, okay. Eric is still here. Hello, Sir Eric. Is he here? Hello, Eric. Hello, Sir Eric. I have some questions for you, please, if you can hear me. And do we have Maria? Please, if you can hear me, can you raise your hands? Can you use the reaction to raise your hand? If you can hear me. Okay. So, okay, yeah, good. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Sir Eric. Okay, so my question is on how do we get the youth to be fully interested in making impact on communities instead of focusing on easy or quick money making programs like forex trading and online or email scams? How can youth be steered away from the bad investments and get them involved in more impactful decisions, positively affecting and growing their communities? And then the second question.
Some people are raising hands. I'm seeing hands of moderator.
Okay. Yeah. So let me read out like 3 questions. They can respond. Second question is, with the challenges of impromptu retrenchment, dismissal of workers, low pay being experienced globally due to COVID-19. What are the possible ways to ensure job security for today's workers, especially with the sudden switch of moving from face-to-face workspaces to work being moved online? How should workers adapt to this change with little technological resources such as computers and Wi-Fi? And then let me read a third one, please. With the structural changes in the labor market and the clamor for digital skills, I read that before, but let me reiterate it. What better ways can organizations equip the youth for the future of work? How best can the youth be able to prepare for the 4th industrial revolution in countries hardly well equipped now? That will be all for now. You may go on, sir, Ma, to respond. Thank you.
Thanks, Vivian. Sorry, like I pointed out before, I'm currently in transition right now because so I think there was in terms of a timing difference. So, but I'll definitely try and contribute. So I can't come on video because I'm in transit right now. But in answering your question, I think I would want to take the second part of that question in terms of the questions around or the challenges around youths getting into the future of work or being participating within the future of work, and based on the challenges that they have. I think it's really left for organizations like ours, that are more social impact driven, to create those opportunities as well. I don't think it's just left for the government to fulfill those obligations. Yes, the challenges across Africa, as we know, is corruption and lack of responsibility from our government folks, right? But the fact still remains that everybody has a role to play here. Organizations have to have a responsibility in terms of putting out products or services that can reduce a barrier of entry and provide the services that youths can actually leverage, right? However, it still comes down to the youths themselves. I was listening to one of your keynote speakers, I think it was probably Harold, that pointed out the fact that if you have an internet access, you should be able to educate yourself. The same rule applies. If the technology or the services are provided by social enterprises, you should be able to leverage that technology, or you should be able to leverage what you have to educate yourself to take advantage of the opportunities that have been given to you, right? For example, my organization, our former, is designed to provide an ecosystem that is supposed to promote artisans and artists across the developing world. And we have a responsibility to play in terms of looking at the barriers that are impacting or reduce reduce the opportunities for youths across Africa and other parts of the globe from partaking within the global economy. And if we have the platform to provide that service, the youths themselves have to be ready to adopt, right? So if, for example, the youths are spending their time on things that do not add value to themselves, nobody would be there to enable them. They have a role to take their own destiny within their own hands. So it's very important that youths and organizations and even the government all have a role to play, and that is all what being sustainable and all what the United Nations SDG goal is all about. Organizations, governments, even the youths themselves, everybody has a role to play. You cannot be sustainable if the youths themselves do not play a part of what your vision or what your goal is all about, right? So in a nutshell, the opportunities need to be there. There's no doubt about that. But if the opportunities present themselves, the youths have to be ready to tap into that technology or that service to take advantage of it, right? So that's where organizations like our former comes in. And I am very privileged to be collaborating with Dr. Faith in our project. And I'm sure a lot of more discussions or information will be made available to youths across the globe through some of these collaborations, but then they have to be ready to educate themselves. And it's very important because I keep hearing that term or that sentence where education is key. It is. What we tend to see today is, unfortunately, organizations or private organizations who are very profit-driven now tend to direct the flow of traffic to youth towards social media, right? A lot of you spend time on TikTok, spend time on Facebook, spend time on Twitter. These are very important social platforms. They have their own values, don't get me wrong. But the key thing is we also have to leverage these social media platforms to redirect them to things that where they can get value from as well. So at the end of the day, everybody has a role to play, not necessarily just social enterprises, but every person on this planet that has a role to play, that can use whatever platform or services that they have access to actually better themselves. But the key thing is that we have to build opportunities that will reduce the barrier of entry. And that's what our format pretty much is all about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sorry. So Maria, you can unmute now and then make your contribution.
Hello, Maria. Can you unmute yourself, please? Good. Please unmute. You're still muted, please. Yeah, good, good, you're good.
Okay, so now I'm a bit surprised because before I was waiting for my spot to speak, and I'm very happy to be here. It's a great conference. Thank you so much for the invitation, Dr. Faith. And I'm happy also to give a little perspective from the German side. So we heard already Roland speaking before. How was his experience in Germany, and to go back to the why he came here, and what was the reason for it. And I think what I wanted to underline is in the whole discussion that responsibility for yourself is a huge value and a huge important point. And we were talking a lot about economic skills and everything. And I think the biggest impact starts when you do something that you know and where you are an expert of. And let me just explain who I am. I'm from Munich, from Germany. I grew here. I grew up here in a very peaceful and calm place with a lot of opportunities. And I was always question: is there not more? Our life is maybe a bit easy. Also, is a bit easy here. And I have a lot of opportunities. So I went outside the country and I saw other places like Bolivia in South America and like India. I saw other realities of life. And so my question was, or my, let's say my vision, my purpose, I found in everybody should have a chance to make something out of his life. And this is, I think, the core maybe also about one of these social development goals, to have a chance, that everyone has a chance for a decent work and a decent life. And if he's willing to work on himself, he should get this chance. And but what is important to achieve this? It's very important to start at the point where you are, and you cannot make something out of what you don't have. So we should all start at the point: what kind of resources do we have? What are we good in? What are our talents? To work on these talents, and then to try to make these talents beneficial for others. And there comes this value of responsibility in. And what I observe in the international collaborations is, I worked a lot with refugees here in Germany, refugees that came here, African refugees from different countries. And I was very touched by their reality of life, because basically they lost a lot of years in their life. They lost 6 years to be able to come to Europe, to be able to come to Germany, and then they come here, and they have maybe other expectations that what happens here actually. And this touched me very much, and I thought there should be a change in the thinking and also in information of these people. So I would say every country, every place has a lot of great resources. And I think most of you, I don't know where all of you come from, but maybe most of you come from Nigeria. So I'm sure Nigeria is a country which is very rich, a lot of resources, a huge tradition, a huge culture. And I think the starting point should be, what are our special talents in Nigeria? What are your special talents in Nigeria? What are you good at? Where can you start to make this valuable for others? And then, you know, to take the responsibility with what you have and build on it, and to make it, to multiply the resources that you have, and not wait on someone to support, but to start with what you have. And then already a lot of good things will happen. I'm sure of this. So I can a little bit bring in these values of Germany. I would say here in Germany, we are also a country which is full of family enterprises, and some values that are really successful values here are self-initiative, responsibility, and ownership of the things. And yes, this is the perspective that I want to bring in, to build a huge enterprise that is profitable, that has a good impact, a social impact, starts with a good product which is not so expensive, but you can scale it up. Okay, so you produce something that you are good at. You produce a product with the resources that you have. It can be resources like materialistic resources, or immaterial, invisible resources, but you build a product that you can scale up, that is, and that gives profit. That is, this is the core of industrialization, and this is why Germany was growing as well in this time. We heard this this talk before. So this is the core of industrialization, to make products that are cheap in the production and very, you know, you can you can reduce the time to produce them and then to scale it up. So this was one thought that I had all the time. And another point that I want to make is, I think in this time, practical skills are very, very important. And here in Germany, we have a professional training system. And in this professional training system, young people who have maybe
Hello,
not...
Maria.
Sorry?
Data or your internet location where you have Capta.
Is a background noise? I'm sorry, yes, I'm living close to a church and the bells are ringing. So I'm very sorry, but I can't help. Can you hear me more or less, or?
Yes, you're audible. I can hear you.
Okay, great. So, right. So the point that I want to stress is it's about practical skills. Practical skills are very, very important. And right now there is a conference going on, or will go on next week in Africa. It's called World Skills Conference, and basically it's all about how to address these practical skills, to push these practical skills. Because if you have practical skills in digital skills or handcrafts or anything, you can build on this, and you will be very attractive for employers, industry employers, to be hired. So we should working on our practical skills and finding out what is the practical competence that I'm good at and that I want to develop to be attractive for employers. Okay, I think I was talking a lot now. I also would like to introduce a bit what we're doing with Raising Perspectives, but I don't know how much time I have. So Vivian, just let me know.
You have 5 more minutes.
I have 5 more minutes. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. So just to explain a bit what we do in Raising Perspectives. So I founded Raising Perspectives yes, 3 years ago, and we grow very slow. We are very, very small social enterprise, but our focus is to bridge or to address this unemployment of young people and to give young people a chance to make a professional training in Germany. So what we face here in Germany, actually, I prepared some slides for you. I can also share the slides. Should I?
Yes, please. Yes.
So I just show you here, you can already see the social development goals that we want to address. And here you see somehow a business model, how we want to address these SDGs, but with an enterprise perspective, okay? So on one side, we have a high rate of youth unemployment in a lot of countries. And so this is a strong potential for young workforce, but the skills are not shaped. And in these countries, there are few job opportunities. So, and also the labor market is not so developed. Basically, it would be the best to have to work on the labor market in your countries. But since there are some corrupt systems and young people leave their countries, you have this high unemployment rate. And on the other side, here in Germany, you have, here in Germany, the demographic is completely different. We have a lack of skilled employees, basically. So our labor market is very developed, but we don't have enough people. This is currently the situation we are in. We don't have so many children in this country, so a lot of old people. And this is why our government also invites young people to come to Germany to work here. So here you can see demographic change in Germany, need of experts. So we need immigrants here. We need immigrants also to keep up our system. And we have a lot of vacancies of professional training positions. And this gives the opportunity basically to bring companies in Germany together with young people from abroad who are willing to make a professional training in Germany. Of course, this is a challenging way also. It's not easy because if you want to make a professional training here in Germany, you need also to speak the language. In some careers in the IT sector, for example, German is not necessarily required, but in other professional training positions, you need to know the language. And this is, of course, a barrier because German is not so easy. But on the other hand, it's a great opportunity. So we basically, in Raising Perspectives, we want to really offer the young people this chance to make a professional training in Germany, if the requirements fit. And so this is my little pitch here. Yes, I had prepared a lot of other stuff that I wanted to say, but yes, since the time is running, I think that's enough. I'm happy if you get in touch with us. I also don't want only to promote our services, but I can just underline, I think the power should be given to the youth and the young people should have a chance. And I love what you do here because you empower young people and you create a platform to share experiences. And I think that's the way to go. And I would love to keep in touch, to share. Maybe it could be nice also to have a discussion with everyone in the end. Yes, thank you for speaking.
You're welcome, Maria.
Yes,
Thank you.
Maria, before you leave, you had suggested that you wanted to take a group picture with everyone. So, moderator, I'm asking that people should be allowed to open their videos. Let them open their videos so that we could take a group picture. I think that's that camera. That's what Maria asked for. I think we can oblige. Yes.
Yes, that would be nice. So everyone switch on his camera, and we can. It's also nice to see the faces. So good. Yeah. So I can take a picture, but maybe different people.
That's very thoughtful. That's very thoughtful.
So different people can also take a picture. I don't know. I think I don't have such a huge screen.
Sure, you can go ahead. You can go ahead, and others as well, if you wish to.
So I will count 1, 2, 3, and then everyone smiles in the camera, please.
Put your camera. Put your cameras on.
Wait, Maria.
Cameras on.
Wait.
Just hold on. Just hold on a bit.
Just hold on. Everyone, please put on your camera.
Put your cameras. Let's do this.
Yeah. Only that I can no longer see myself.
I can see you.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay.
Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Please wave and smile. Okay.
Oh.
Perfect. One second more. 1 second more. Yay! Yay!
Yes.
Okay. I hope they are good, but I will share them. I can share them also here should I share them in the chat for everyone?
Sure, absolutely. Dr. Faith, can she?
Why not? Why?
Good. Absolutely. Maria, you can.
Do you want to pass them to everyone? However you want, Faith.
Share it alongside now so that everybody has a place. Share it immediately.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Shreville. Over to you, Shreville.
Yes. Thank you, Catherine.
There are some questions that are coming in for Maria, but then some of those questions perhaps we'll find a way to get to her. Some are asking a specific question on how scholarship funded. Later we'll find a way to get this message across. Just follow YouTube Global because we have partnership with Tourism Perspective, and we'll be able to communicate all this to you. We have a running contract with them, a running partnership and collaboration discussion we are having with them. And once all that is sorted, we will be able to bring in all the people that are interested in migrating to Germany, but we will not leave the whole of Africa. we will give Germany some and return some. Thank you very much, Maria.
Yes,
okay,
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maria, and thank you so much, Dr. Faith, for noting that. Fred, Brandon, and Goodness have questions for raising perspectives. You'll get your answers. Then Maria Catherine actually opened the floor for social impact highlights by organizations, and that was raising perspectives. We are heading over to Kenya, and the CEO of Unlock Young Leaders Summit will be presenting on their organization and how the organization can be incorporates the SDGs, and he can tell us more about Unlock Young Leaders Summit and how youths are engaged, their achievements, and how it actually impacts for the youths. I'd request you to unmute Okanda S. Eugene.
Hello. Hi, Shrivel.
Hello, Eugene.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you so much. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever part of the world you're joining us from this amazing afternoon here in Kenya. Actually in Kenya it's evening, it's 5:15. So I'm happy to join all of you here at this platform. My name is Okanda Eugene Stephen. I am the CEO of Unlock Young Leaders Summit, a youth-based leadership organization. And I'll just be talking about our social impact since the time of inception until today. And thank you so much. I really want also to register my profound gratitude to the speakers who have spoken before me. They well articulated the issues that we are trying to do corporately. And so this conversation was timely. And so I'm so grateful. All right, so just allow me to share my screen. I'm sharing my screen now. Right. All right. So as I've said, my name is Okanda Eugene. I am a graduate of Kenyatta University, which is one of the national universities here in Kenya. I did a bachelor's in biochemistry. So I'm a scientist by profession and training. But on the other side, I am passionate about leadership and governance, which actually recently I did a whole leadership and governance program with an organization called Sabika Trust. And I've been volunteering with the government. I've been working with the State Department for Youth Affairs for the last 10 months. And we have been reaching out to the youth in more than 17 counties here in Kenya. Youth who they have not actually gotten into the tertiary level of education. So they went up to high school. So because of one reason or the other, they were not able to go to high school. So we empower them. We do entrepreneurship programs for them and some other sessions for them. The other thing is that I'm passionate about public policy and public administration. And I'm also passionate about building personal capacity among the young people. And my mission as a person is to enable the young leaders discover, activate, and attain their life purposes and calling. And my vision is to raise a community of values-driven, purpose-driven, and value-based leaders, young leaders in the various spectrum. And that is what I do with my organization. And before I continue, possibly I'll want to also just register my profound gratitude to my team who will be joining me shortly. So I want to talk about, just want to take some time to talk about the social impact of the Unlock Young Leaders Summit. And I want to put some few things in perspective as far as this conversation is concerned. So in Africa, we have 60% of African population in 2019 being under the age of 25. And of course, as you look at it, the medium age is about 19.8 years old in 2020. And actually, it is said that the 1.2 billion people in Africa, this population will double by the year 2050. And so, but if we put these things into perspective, by 2100, and I hope most of us, if not all of us, will be around, by 2100, almost a half of the world's youth will be Africans. And so African has, and I know all of us know this, that Africa is one of the youngest continents in the world. So Africa, young working population is the one that is able to drive the socioeconomic transformation of this continent. And one of the things possibly I want to say as I start off this conversation is that Africa, we are not struggling with the poverty of the economic empowerment. We have the economic resources and all the things that can transform the economic status of Africa. But one of the things we're struggling with is the poverty of the mind. And until we unlock the poverty of the mind, we'll continue to struggle. There's one of the people I really follow closely, is called Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn says, if you take all the monies in the world and distribute equally across all the people, that money within a certain period of time, that money will go back to the same pockets. Why? Because there are people who have unlocked the minds and they use money in a way that is supposed to be used. And there are those who are extravagant and they use money in a way that is not worth it. So as we continue with this conversation, what that means is that we need to empower the youth of Africa. If the youth of Africa are not empowered enough, by this year we are saying 2050, we all know the 2063 UN plan and all that. If we don't harness the impact of the youth at this moment, at this time, we are going to lose the youth dividend that is so much important to be tapped into. All right, so the other thing that is important also to understand is that of the 450 million youth aged between 15 and 35 in Africa today, the majority of them are either unemployed, they are underemployed, have insecure jobs, or are in casual employment. And some of them, majority of them, they are actually not empowered enough to cause the socioeconomic transformation that we cry about. And so we have to understand that if efforts are supposed to be injected, we're supposed to inject our efforts in making sure that the youth are actually stabilized. Let me try to talk about Kenya, where I come from, and why I am one of the young people who are also into spearheading the social impact of Kenya. So in Kenya is a youthful country. And if Kenya is a youthful country, actually, according to the census that was conducted in 2019, it was actually postulated that 35.7 million Kenyans, which is actually 75.1, are below the age of 35, which is actually the youth bracket. And while 32.73 million, which is 68.9, live in rural areas. So how are we supposed to get into the youth, majority of the youth who actually live in the rural areas? So that means we're supposed to get into the rural areas and empower these young people with the up-to-date 21st century skills that are required. And one of the staggering statistics in Kenya is that in Kenya, the share of youth, of young people aged between 15 to 34 years old are either not in education, are not in employment, or are not in training, which stands at 16.9%. We're talking about youth who are not in education. They have not taken part in any training that can actually empower them, and most of them are employed, which we are talking about 16.9%. So the rate decreased. Of course, this rate decreased from 18.1% in the previous quarter. But according to these statistics that were taken in the first quarter of 2021, we have 16% of Kenyan youth who are either unemployed, they are not educated, or they have not received any training that can actually empower them. And majority of these people are those young people who don't proceed to the tertiary level of education. So, and of course, I have some staggering statistics here, which are available in the internet. You can actually check. So we have quite a high percentage of young people who have not received tertiary education, and most of them, of course, they go to do technical skills training, and it's not all of them. So that is actually where Unlock comes in. So what is our why as an organization? So Unlock Young Leaders Summit, which is ULS, is a youth-based leadership organization. It's an NGO registered under the NGO Coordination Board. So we seek to inspire, to empower, and to mentor the next generation of values-driven, passion-oriented, and visionary youth leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to understand that if we don't empower young people to be values-driven, we are raising people who cannot withhold the string of leadership and governance for so long. Because we have people who have been trained to be thieves, people who have been trained to be poor leaders. And so if we are going to close the generational gap, which is there, we have to make sure that we are harnessing and building young people who are values-driven. So the main agenda of Unlock Young Leaders Summit is to promote good governance among the young people and to alleviate poverty. And we are strongly on the poverty of the mind, because until young people are empowered mentally, all the other things will not make sense. Empowered to handle finances, empowered to handle their own lives, empowered to handle the challenges of life that they face every day. The reason as to why recently we have had quite an increase in mental health issues among the young people is that we are not prepared to handle transitions. We're not prepared to handle the issues of life that actually we face in every single time. And so we are here to spearhead leadership development, moral and ethical transformation, and to promote quality holistic growth among the youth. our main agenda is to strengthen and to strengthen and to empower four main pillars, which is the pillar of leadership and governance, career coaching and mentorship. And this goes all the way from high school level to the young professional level. And the young professional we are talking about are young people who have exited campus. Because one of the things we have actually realized is that young people are not prepared to land well in the job market. How do you dress up? How do you show up? How do you communicate? How do you speak up? How do you take responsibilities? How do you handle transition in the workplace? So we do that in our career and mentorship coaching among the young people. The other segment or the other pillar that we also develop is the pillar of entrepreneurship and social skills. We have realized that most of the Kenyan youth, because we have high rate of unemployed youth in Kenya, most of them, they venture into the entrepreneurship area. And so you cannot do something that you're not empowered to do. And so we also raise leaders in the entrepreneurship sector among the young people. The other last pillar, which is the fourth one, is the pillar of family and healthy relationships. We can all attest that the pillar of family is one of the pillars that has not been taken seriously among the young people. So we date for fun, we court for fun, and we get into family for fun. We have not been prepared to handle the transition of family very well. And this actually starts from all the way from building healthy relationships among the young people. And so we are raising values-driven young people who can also not only handle the affairs of our country, but can also handle the affairs of their own families and community. So what is our what? At Unlock Young Leader Summit, we aim to achieve this by providing job-specific skills training to increase youth employability and workability. There's a big difference between being employable and being workable. You can have the skill set to work, you can have the skill set for job opportunity, but you are not empowered enough to handle transition of work. So we also aim to empower that through our career and mentorship training. The other thing is that we provide business skills training to enable the youth to be entrepreneurial and to tap into their talents. We have of course, many youth in Kenya have ventured into the entrepreneurship sector. So we empower them through the Young Entrepreneurs Program that we actually run every single month. So we empower them things about what are the legal requirements of running a business and stuff like that. The other thing is mentorship. And the last bit is leadership and governance. Quickly, because of time, I will just go quickly into our programs and what we have been able to do. So currently we are doing a program that we call the Youth Leadership and Politics Summit that we have been able to reach to 18 universities and 10 organizations in Kenya, here in Nairobi, Kenya. And so that is one of the projects that you've been seriously on. And what we are doing is to promote good governance. And of course, as a country, we are at electioneering period. So there's campaign. So we conduct activities and campaigns for the youth to make sure that we are raising young people who will be peace ambassadors during this campaign period. We also train student council in universities. And so we also reach out to the universities across the country. And actually, I was sharing with Shrivel. We are organizing Africa Student Leaders Summit, which is targeting student leaders across the African continent that will be coming up in June. But also we run student leaders training across the campuses in Nairobi. The other thing is also that we raise mentors, young people who can mentor other people. I'm just trying to rush quickly into that so that I finish on time. And the other thing that we do is also we have a young Founders Association, which we call the Young CEOs Breakfast, where we come together as young people who are running different initiatives to empower ourselves as we run different initiatives. We have so many young founders in Kenya. And so we normally have actually we'll be having like our Young CEOs Breakfast next month, where we meet as young people who are running different initiatives, go through the challenges that we go through as we run these social enterprises, and just empower ourselves. We get speakers and get empowered through that. That is just a summary of what I've talked about. Those are that is the two of the Youth Leadership and Politics, the summit that we have done recently, and we've been able to reach to more than 400 young people in these two different campuses, and we are continuously doing this. So thank you so much. I will welcome any question if there is any, but that is our social impact in Kenya, and we are committed to raising young people across the board. Because if we don't secure the young leadership, we are going to have and suffer from what I call the generational leadership gap. There is poor governance all over Africa, and it's evident. We are having leaders who are corrupt, and so many things that are happening, social injustices, poverty that is increasing each and every single time. And so if you don't prepare the young people to handle this change, then we are going to lose the whole continent. And this continent is so rich, but if we continue to be poor in the mind, we are going to be will continue to be a poor continent. So thank you so much. Back to you, Shrivel.
Thank you so much, Eugene. And Unlock Young Leader Summit is doing a lot of things here in Nairobi that are evident, and in Kenya. I was privileged to attend their summit last week, and what he has shared is just a tip of what they do here. Youth Up Global is planning on collaborations with Unlock Young Leader Summit. Thank you so much, Eugene, and for this presentation and for your availability. Thank you so much. On to our next presenter, we will have...
Hold on, Shrivel. Hold on, please.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, hold on. May I, please?
All right, go ahead.
Thank you. So Okanda, thank you for that presentation. Shrivio, permit me to introduce the next presenter, please. And his name is Yemi.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, and his name is Yemi Odubote. Yemi Odubote is the founder of ImeReach Foundation. And he's going to have 10 minutes to tell us all about ImeReach Foundation, social impact highlights by this foundation. Yemi, are you there? Hello,
Yes.
Yemi.
Yes. Hello.
Okay, you're welcome. The floor is yours.
Hi, Vivian. How are you? Hello, everyone.
I'm very well. And please, you have 10 minutes.
That's fine. I'm gonna be using up to 10 minutes.
Awesome.
Firstly, I appreciate Youth Up Global for what you're doing, for putting this initiative together, because over time, people tend to want to do things all by themselves, alone. Then we focus on collaboration, and that is what I'm seeing here. Though I've been in and out, but I get to listen to what Professor was talking, and even to the last person. So number one, collaboration. And number two, mindset. If you've listened, it has all been centered on how can we change our thinking? How can we work together? How can we change our focus? How can we... So all this is what we do in our organization. It all started where, as a young man, I get to realize that why isn't there a community where there are young people that are genuine, that want to support themselves, that want to do really amazing things? Why can't they come together? What is happening? Could there be something else? Then it all falls in, like I mentioned, the mindset. Then ImeReach Foundation is, what we do is we give mental empowerment to people. Initially, we say we give mental empowerment to youth, but now we give mental empowerment to people to becoming a better person for themselves and the community. I would have loved to, display something, but yeah, I'll just talk briefly. So we focus on 3 to 4 major projects. The number one is mental education. Mental education, you all agree with me, we need life skills to be able to survive. It goes beyond the 4 walls of the classroom. I've forgotten his name. Isn't Harold now that spoke about what we need as young person in terms of education. That was absolutely fantastic. So mental education, we do that. We visit schools, we speak to people, able, disabled, not care of your color, wherever that you are. But it goes beyond just speaking. First of all, we need to understand your thought pattern, where you are at the moment. So it goes like, okay, let me just go here and start talking. This is what I think they need. So we don't go and assume this is what you need. We look at what exactly you're looking for. Then the next thing we do, we talk about, we call something light up depression. You'll all agree with me, depression is a thing everywhere. Many things are happening just right about you. But before it get worse for people, we figured that we should teach people the signs and symptoms of depression. What if you can spot depression just by looking at your friend, by examining them? You can help them before it even get worse, before people say they're committing suicide or what is happening. I used to see you as a lively and happier person. But if you can easily spot what depression is and all of that, that really works. So that's one of the things. Secondly, number 3, we call something girls be free. People think for girls to be free, it means they can be wayward. That's totally wrong, So that's totally wrong. For girls to be free, what's that? I think you've been asked. Okay, I think someone has asked you guys.
No, someone just shared the screen. Some people can be very funny. Just ignore and continue. It's also sharing again. Can we stop sharing of screen, please?
Okay, please stop it.
That's what I want to do.
Rubbish.
It's some people are just very funny. When they get to an environment, they want to start misbehaving. Please, Yemi, go ahead with.
Yeah.
Sorry, Yemi, sorry.
That's weird. No, but that's fine. Yeah, that's one of the things we're talking about. People can be shameful. People can want to do things they're not supposed to do as a young person. It's just like some people are not happy with this gathering. They feel like, what are they talking about? They have to be, come on, what a bullshit. But however, you have to be committed. Someone was talking about commitment earlier. You have to be committed to what you want to do as a young person and don't look at the side distraction and all of that. So I was talking about girls be free. Girls be free does not mean a girl needs to be wayward. People have perceived a woman or the lady as a sex object. And I was just talking about that, and then someone just had to post something really wrong, So women need to see themselves more than just all of that. If you're empowering women, you need to give them inclusion into the environment that they need to thrive and all of that. So people have been saying over time, we've been doing that, we've been
I think if we are able to identify that person, he can be, he or she should be removed from the meeting. Or do not allow screen sharing.
Okay, sorry, Yemi. And then someone is suggesting that we should only make whoever that is next to speak as a co-host. So it will be only that person that will be allowed to share his or her screen. Can you hear me, Doctor? Oh my God. Is Kenneth there?
The person is Kayla Marina Screen. Who is Kayla Marina?
We are so sorry, everyone. This is the amazing youth we have, isn't it? We are wonderful, in quotes. Okay, Kenneth says the actions are done by hackers. It may not necessarily be people that are a part of Okay, please, can you give Kenneth host?
Okay, that's very understandable. I understand some hackers can be funny during these sections. It's also good that Kenneth verified that.
Tell what fucking holes getting fucked.
Again.
Yeah.
Again.
Feels so fucking good.
Again. This is serious.
Yeah.
Who is doing this? Kenneth, I think you have the right, you have the host, right? You have the host now. So if you could check the back.
There we go, like that.
You
You have a little slut and keep with my fucking holes for.
Okay. Okay, I think that's I'm not sure this is going to come up again. I don't know why. I don't know what the person wants to achieve. Hello, Kenneth. Have you been able to work on it from your back end? Yes. Have you been able to work on it from your end? So we can continue the sections. Kenneth, I'm not able to hear you. Hello, I'm not able to hear Kenneth. Vivian, you can go ahead, please.
I think we can end the meeting and restart it.
I'm not sure the person will have us. Let's see if that happens again, then.
Because we will actually get off the meeting. This is this is not what we signed for, and it is very bad for the publicity of Youth Up Global.
It's really a very bad one. But then, Kenneth, are you able to hear me? I'm not hearing you, so that I will know that everything is fine from your side. I'm not hearing you. You are talking, but I can't hear you.
Kenneth.
Okay, you have disabled sharing. Okay. Please go ahead with the section.
Okay.
You shouldn't stop us from moving.
Yemi.
It's just a distraction.
Okay, Yemi, you have 5 more minutes. Sorry for that.
It's just a distraction, really. Yeah,
yes,
please let's move
Yemi,
on. Yeah.
Are you there, Yemi?